Hey guys, welcome back to Sam Industries. Today, we're gonna do a little bit of work on the Miata. That's right, it's here, it made it all the way. If you guys saw the previous video, we went to go get it all the way down from Georgia and cannonball it around back here successfully. And since then, I've driven it like 2 miles and then rain came and I had to tarp it because of all the holes. And that's it, that's all I've done to it. Oh, and I put one different wheel on it just to see how it looked. So it's got one mismatched wheel, ton of very bad condition tires, and it's just chilling. That's it, it's just chilling. However, I saw on Facebook today, as in yesterday, that we are, I think, 8 days away or 7 days away from Miatas At The Gap. I was like, hey, that sounds like a good time. I should do that. And then I'm like, this is not ready for MATG. So let's get it ready. I think what we're gonna do today, step one, I'm gonna take off the top. Actually, you know what? Step one, just open it real quick. Voila. It's gonna back her up a little bit. Top down action. Magical. So, crawl out of this thing real quick. I think that might be the wheels we're gonna go with. These are 2-year only Escort GT wheels. They're directional, so it's got lefts and rights, so it follows that pattern. Kind of like how they look. However, they're on 27-year-old tires right now, so that's gonna need fixed before the meet. I also kind of want to space them out, see if I can dial in some better fitment, so that it looks better. Top's full of holes. You know what, maybe we'll just kind of go over what it needs, what's wrong with it, and what's good about it. What's good about it, it just starts, it just works, sounds okay. Operational radio, all the gauges work, seats are mostly there, seat belts mostly work. That's most of the good stuff. Obvious issues, the paint, which is not great. It's got many mismatched panels, black door, red hood, cow fenders. At some point I'm gonna repaint the whole thing. The plan is to leave a cow fender. I think I'm gonna keep the Miata theme. This was very lovingly named Patches by the previous owner. So I think we're gonna keep the Patches name and maybe the Patches theme. We'll see if we can keep patching it up with a couple pieces here and there. The headlights both work, which is nice. It's got LED projectors there in it. Pop-ups work fine. That turn signal's dead, so I gotta get a new bulb in there probably, or it might be a wiring thing. Not sure yet. I was actually looking the other day. The whole car is an original 1990 Silverstone. However, it was repainted entirely at one point in its life. So a lot of this peel and clear coat is actually aftermarket clear. That's just flaking off. So yeah, the whole thing, I'm gonna leave the paint color that we're looking at a secret for now. I guess y'all see that closer to time. It's not gonna get painted before Miatas at the Gap. That's gonna be a much further down the road thing. The mirror caps are all really loose. These all flutter in the wind. I have a feeling that's a common issue. I can't lock my doors because they did not change out the lock cylinders when they changed the doors out, which I guess it's not a big deal. I don't know how many people lock Miatas anyway, considering if somebody wants in, they can pretty easily get in. I did, however, get a new ignition key cut. The one that's in it right now is like legitimately very twisted and bent. So I went over to our local Mazda dealer and they actually were able to cut 2 new keys from the VIN, which is cool because you can't do that with Festivas anymore. Those records are long gone. Not so for Miatas. The left speaker is very blown out. I think I have a set of speakers laying around somewhere that'll fit this thing, which would be nice to have at least a little bit better music on the way down the trip. The trunk lock gets a little stuck sometimes, so I'll have to figure that out. The driver's side seatbelt buckle sometimes does not buckle, and then when it does, it gets stuck. I don't know if that's repairable or if I should just replace it. Not sure yet. The top is obviously blown out, but there's a guy with a good condition used one, like the full frame, up 2 hours north of us. I think we're gonna go drive up there this afternoon and pull that. He said I could have it for 150 bucks if I pull it myself, but I don't know how to do that. So we're gonna spend the next few minutes here pulling this one out, learning how it goes in. That way we can pull it back out of that one. The seats are a little torn up. The bolster on the driver's side is all messed up. You can probably see from here, the big chunk missing over there in the corner. The back one's starting up on the back. I think we'll just patch that up. The column plastics are all off right now. I have them somewhere, but when they were trying to diagnose their start issue, they had the whole column torn apart, as you probably saw on the video when we got it. It was kind of hard to fit in here around the steering wheel. So I actually had a neochrome quick release laying around that matches the neochrome wheel. So it should be a little bit easier now to get in and out of it, since we could just pop this off. So now you can get in and then click that back in place, which is handy. This gauge cluster does not fit. Like, it's a huge gap all the way around. Really does not fit this dash at all. So I'm guessing that's an NB unit and it needs to be an NA unit. I have a feeling it's gonna be hard to find in any good condition, but we'll try it. I definitely want some of the better armrests, the full-size armrests, which is funny because I have some laying around already that I've already used in our Festivas because it fits a Festiva really well. And now I need to buy them for a Miata. Never thought that would happen, but here we are. From the back, I think most stuff back here is fine. This trunk had an OE spoiler on it. You can see the paint marks and this chunk of metal still stuck in the trunk lid. But I kind of like the look of whatever they have on here. Looks like it's just some universal fitment thing. I don't think it's meant for Miata, but it fits the shape pretty well. So I think that's gonna stay. At least for now though, for Miatas At The Gap, I wanna see what's causing the exhaust leak sound. I'm thinking that we might have rubbed a hole in the donut gasket down by the cat, just from how low it is. I think it's so low it scraped something down there. It causes weird little air leak noise to happen at certain RPMs. I wanna fix that speaker. I wanna fix the top. I think with those few things done, this will be good enough just to drive, at least around for now. Getting it titled might be a good idea too. Getting it insured might be a good idea. We'll look into that. AC doesn't work, so I might see if that's something easy to fix. I don't know. The blower motors do work though, so that's good. If it gets cold at night, the heat works, so that's good. Also, the turn signals don't self-cancel. I don't think the hub adapter was installed quite right, and the airbag light's flashing, so there's no resistor pack in there. So we might try to put in a resistor pack so that light shuts up and make the turn signals work correctly and self-cancel. That's like most of it for now. Just like a quick overview. I haven't really dug into it deeply to see any problems that it does or doesn't have. It could use a wash, it could use a vacuum, but you know, these are just standard Miata things, I suppose, when you buy the world's cheapest running rust-free Miata. I had to add a lot of qualifiers to that because I'm sure you could find a cheaper running Miata that was full of holes, and I'm sure you could find a cheaper rust-free shell that doesn't run. So, the qualifier of the cheapest running rust-free Miata. If I didn't mention it last time, we paid $1,800 for this, turnkey basically, more or less. I had to install the battery and fix the terminal and plug the switch back in. But beyond that, it was turnkey. So, very excited. So I guess we will cue the music, cue the time lapse, start working on it. I actually don't know what I'm doing. I figured it'd be easy enough to figure it out. I have a OEM service manual on the way, just because I'm addicted to OEM service manuals. But it's not here yet, so I'm just gonna look around, start tearing things apart, and figure it out on my own. We're gonna see if I can do all this with just my two little Milwaukee guns and my tiny Cobalt toolbox of pieces that's in the back of the truck. Because ideally, I can do this with very few tools. That way we can show up in this guy's yard in a couple hours and do the same thing in his yard without having to bring a ton of stuff with me that I'll end up losing. So let's get started. All right, 15 minutes later, I think I'm ready to pull it out. Thanks to me being, an ace Mazda mechanic, I figured all that out without even looking at anything. Is that because it's really easy? Is it because I'm just really good? Is it a bit of both? Is 15 minutes actually hella slow and one of you Miata people are gonna come here and tell me you could do it in 4? Probably. I could probably cut it down to 9 now. I don't know about 4 though. Anyway, I think it's ready to come out. So I'm just gonna pick it up and see what happens. I've also now figured out which parts I'm kind of missing or are broken. And I've also noticed I have a very wet floor. I think maybe it would be a good idea to pull the seats out, maybe pull some of the carpet out. Hang on. What's going on up here? Aha. Look at that. One soft top out. Yeah, there's some broken bits here and there. There's like a little plastic piece that's missing from the seatbelt holder. It kind of slides on to hold the plastic shut. If you're a Miata person, you probably know what I'm talking about. There's this tiny, pretty much inconsequential piece that slips on right here, holds this together. Looks like this tab's broken. So maybe if this guy's willing to sell, I'd buy his trim piece. That way I could have it back, just for completeness sake. There's also little metal caps that cover right here. The driver's side one is cracked in half, despite being made of metal. Something went kind of wrong there. So maybe I can get one of those, it'd be nice. I just like having a good complete car, you know? It doesn't really hurt function, but it'd be nice to have if it's available. This also gives me a good chance to clean any dirt out. Oh, hey, look, there's a free screwdriver in here. Nice. It's always good to have. So yeah, that was actually pretty simple. So hopefully it's just as easy on his. I don't know if this was easy because it was missing stuff or it was easy because it was easy. I guess we're gonna find out. Also gives me a chance to clean up back here some. But yeah, all the water that gathered here when it rained, that crazy big storm, definitely just flowed straight down here and into the floor right there because it's very wet. Like my hand still gets wet touching stuff down there. So I think we'll pop the seats out real quick and pop maybe the door cards off for the speaker access. I also want to make sure it's not gonna rain today while I'm gone, because if I go get the top, I come back and it rained, it's gonna be even worse than it ever was. So we'll probably go ahead and try to figure out how to retarp it despite having no roof. But all in all, I'd say that was a very successful venture. So I guess now I'll just keep going with it while I'm here, pop the seats out and see what it takes to peel the carpet up. And there's a good reason to take all your seats out. They vacuumed it before I bought it, but it's pretty much impossible to get a vacuum under a Miata seat due to how close to the floor it is. On this side, a whole lot of rust came out with the bolt on the floor there. You can see how much pile of rust is there. I still see paint around it though, so I'm guessing it's okay. But it's just, I mean, even not convertibles, your seat bolts get really gross. So I might go ahead and pull that seat belt out. We might pull the center console stuff out and just give it a peek. Be a good time for me to replace that seat belt while I'm at it, since it's got to come off. So yeah, back to the time lapse, I suppose. Now that it's all vacuumed, I'm gonna pull the carpet up. I think I can already see a bit of rusty floor under here, but you know, if it's held water, I wouldn't be surprised to have some surface rust up in here. I'm not pulling the carpet all the way out, I don't think. I don't know, maybe I will. I still don't want to take the whole dash or like the front plastics out, but it looks like it might not be too big of a deal to do so. Aye. All right, well, not as rust-free as we hoped, huh?
Yeah, it's not good.
So definitely rust hole up front. Back here's looking okay though. So this is where the rust was, just from the seat rails, which is pretty common on any car. That looks fine to me. I don't see anything back here in these corners, which is good. This corner over here is where it's the most wet, and it's actually not moist under the carpet, so I think the carpet's just holding a bit of water, just some retention here, but like I don't see any physical puddles down here at all. I don't know if there's a factory drain hole anywhere back here that should be like unclogged or anything. I think I'm gonna look it up. I assume there is some kind of drain, just being a convertible. On this side, we still have the, yeah, there's more holes over here for sure. Yeah, look at those. Got a hole here, hole there. So now, do I say the America's cheapest running Miata with some rust? Because I don't know if I can say rust-free with that being there, can I? But like down here looked pretty good. That being said, it's been repainted, but I mean, we'll get it later on in the episode. We'll get it up on jack stands and really get a peek under here, see what's going on. But you know, oftentimes you'll see Miatas rusting out down here in the rockers, and this one, I mean, all of this felt fine. Maybe it's been bonded over though, so maybe I'll scrape some of that off when I go to paint it later and see how bad it really is. But most of it look pretty good. So if it's just like puddled water up front where the feet are, basically, like where your feet would be constantly getting nasty, salty dirt up in here, then, I mean, that's totally fixable. I'm fine with that. All right, continuing on from where I was yesterday, we did a little quick inspection below and saw that this thing's actually super clean underneath, which is fantastic. Guess what?
What?
Chicken butt. Ha! No, seriously, there's like no rust down here.
Yeah?
Yeah. It looks fantastic. This bolt hanging down is probably bad.
What's it go to?
Oh, it's missing bolts up top. Yeah, there's not much holding this car together. It's okay. I don't know. Definitely something leaking up here. That's a lot of oil. I mean, that's like a pile of oil. You can see how scraped up those mounting bolts are getting, along with the subframe there. Plenty of low boy scrapes. Inner tie rods will look at that at a great angle, but I mean, you can see all that red mud on here, but that's actually just mud. There's almost zero rust down here. I mean, that's all just dirt. Oh yeah, rubbing plenty. It looks like the tire might even be rubbing through the metal there. Low life. All of this hardware was missing. The bumper's still not tied together. All the plastics hardware were missing. New radiator. I'm guessing that's because they were too low and blew through one. You can see they did not use the trans cooler in the rad for whatever reason. Instead, there is a aftermarket like secondary radiator cooler or trans cooler up front, just chilling. Not really bolted into anything. Looks like they tried and it just blew through. Zip tie up here, hold it in. Fantastic. None of the bumpers held on. Like all these are just not there. And they're too rusty to put anything on. The bumper doesn't even have a hole here. I'm wondering if that's aftermarket. The fenders are definitely aftermarket. There's the stickers inside them. Made by Tong Yang, so I imagine that's not OEM. Airbag wires rubbed through on this side. Very nice. No airbag steering wheel anymore though, so I guess it's not a huge deal. There's our coilover over there. So there's the bottom side. Again, you can see a bit of surface rust from where the frame rails have been scraped clean, but other than that, it looks pretty good down here. I don't see major issues besides the hole in the floor, which again looks like it was caused from water collecting on the top surface. There's the cat flange, and looks like they welded one side of it and then just left the rest sitting. That stud does nothing, and there's no gasket in there, so that's almost certainly my exhaust noise, especially considering it's right under the cabin. There's the footwell hole on the passenger side, so that's where it rotted from the top down. But if I look left a little bit, you can see the rockers are looking fantastic on this specimen. I think this is going to be a really good car. So there's the rear rocker. Again, that brown up there is just mud, not rust. Coming up here, factory paint, body coating, even the e-brake hardware up here, still shiny and zinc coated. That's pretty sweet. There's a stick stuck in it over here. Literally just a stick stuck in this plastic. I don't know how it stabbed through that. That's a new one. All right. Let's see if I can get some light over here. Again, it's all super rust-free. I mean, I wish the pressure washer could take all this super stiff mud off, but it's all mud. Like all the hardware stuff is minty. The PPF is missing a ton of bolts. Right there you can see the diff spacer thing. All of its bolts are missing, so that's pretty lame. But it is what it is, I suppose. More dirty, but otherwise rust-free parts. Pretty sweet. It's fantastic. And now I'm back to just sorting all the small issues or medium issues that I want to get done before we go to the Dragon. One of them was to get the speaker replaced because it sounds terrible. It like blows out constantly. Popped that door card off on the red door and found that it had this nice well, nice at one point, Polk speaker installed. So I was surprised this one blew out. Now I'm over at this black door thinking that does not look like a Polk speaker. Almost got this popped off, so let's see what's in here. And this is a barely screwed in stock speaker. There's one screw here and a paper cone. So whenever they swap these doors over, it looks like they did not do any speaker swapping. Whatever speakers these doors had, that's what they had, and that's all they did. So that's cool. Wow, and this door has had many speakers in it, I see, because there are screws all up in here that are not original. Other things I've been looking at, I got all this deck cleaned off, all the nasty moldy dirt stuff. I'm going to finish taping up my weather seal here. I'll put the top back on. We'll just do that really fast. I don't know if I need to film that necessarily, but got the top ready to put in it. I re-vacuumed the carpet. I found out the screw for the glove box is broken, so it needs glued together instead of screwed back in. I fixed my turn signal. Turns out that was bad wiring. The RGB lights I had installed, they had just tapped by tapping, like just twisted the wires together to the turn signal for power, and then duct taped over it. So it was a sticky, disgusting mess of loose wires. So I disabled the stupid halos for now and just have the turn signal working. I cleaned up all the stuff I touched, the steering wheel and the shift knob and the e-brake were all disgusting from touching. I got those cleaned off and not so sticky anymore. Michelle went through and scraped off all the stickers that were on here. So all the ones on the bumper, all the ones on the windows and stuff, those are gone now, which is good. Good clean start for us to put our own stickers that we've earned onto the car. Cleaned off the replacement soft top. Same thing, stickers off, mud and gunk off of it in preparation to install it. I found a bunch of loose bolts up here I tightened up. The front bumper was missing basically every piece of hardware that holds it to the car. So I went through my big box of M6 hardware and Phillips screws, replaced all of those, replaced some clips that hold the turn signals in so they don't fall off on me anymore. It's definitely rubbing the wheels up front, so I might try to bash the fender or the wheel well area. I guess it's kind of part of the frame, but it might hit it with the hammer just to give it some more space. Yeah, Rub City. I do have new tires and wheels, used wheels, new tires. I'm getting mounted up soon. I'll put them on here with some spacers. We'll try to adjust the fitment, make it sit really flush, make it look really good. But yeah, just tons of minor stuff like that. There's a lot of just weird broken things here and there. Just trying to make it more livable. I won't record every single little thing I do because it'd be a lot to watch and probably kind of boring, but we're getting there. Oh, and I fixed the seatbelt too. Just a bunch of PB Blaster, and I cleaned it out, and then put it back in and cleaned it out. And now, seatbelt should click first try, and then ejects no problem. Look at that, fantastic. So that's something else I don't have to buy. And this is definitely the wrong gauge cluster. I'm gonna see if I can score an OEM one that's correct for this dash, because that doesn't fit. That's not gonna be before the meet though. Won't have time for that. All right, the top is finally on. It's looking super taut, actually. It took two of us to get the latch. Michelle had to push it down while I got the latches installed. So I think I need to get it out in the sun before it's gonna fit quite right. There's definitely no way we'll be able to latch that while I'm moving. No way in heck. But it looks really good. Got all the stickers scraped off everywhere. So the ones on the window, the ones on the bumper, those are all off now. It's funny, you can actually see the imprint of the stickers in the window, like the text and stuff is still visible from where it, I guess, kind of baked into the vinyl, which is odd, but not a big deal because it was nice and cheap. Wheels are also on, but I'll wait for it to be on the sun for the full reveal of that. However, now that I have my wheels on, the spacers are on, it's all looking kind of flush. The back is definitely way higher than the front, or yeah, the back's definitely way higher than the front. So I think I might lift the front up just a bit, just to the point that the rocker is level. It's going to look not as cool, but I can't get the back down any further. I think the back is already at the lowest point with these coilovers. So then I need to reinstall the interior because all of my seats and plastics are still out. So I'll have to get those in. I need to clean up some of the plastics too, make sure I get the weather stripping in and the things to hold the carpet down. Carpet looks decent. I'm not going to mess with that too much yet. I also tried to polish it a little bit just to see how it would look. I don't know how it's going to show on camera, but up here, you can see that line right there in the middle. That's where a hood brawl used to be on this hood. And then over here, where I just hit it with a really quick polish by hand, you can see that line is gone. Although it is still full of micro scratches, and obviously there's dents and stuff like right here. You can see how the light deforms. That's a dent, and it's got a weird paint chip right there in the middle. So All that's fine though. We'll fix that when we repaint it. Steering wheel back in. I cleaned up back there some. I don't know how much of this I already talked about because it's been a few days. I've been gone on a trip. Let's see what's left in here. Yep, all the plastic still. Carpet stuff still. Oh, I forgot to put a black ice in here. It smells nice. Top smelled a little funny, so now it's smelling very good. Got new keys made. The key is in it now. I think I mentioned that before. Door cards are back on with the new speakers in. I ripped out the speaker guards thinking I'd put new grills in, just to realize the grills I had were too small. So now both the speakers are visible. I left the Polk in this door, just put an Infinity in that door. It still doesn't sound fantastic. I think the head unit's kind of old and allowing for some distortion, but it'll work. I'll have at least some music when I'm cruising around. The exhaust, as I showed earlier, is full of holes and stuff, or missing gaskets, just very poorly welded together. So it's not like I am losing out on the beautiful exhaust noise, because this exhaust noise is not quite what I call beautiful yet. But we're getting there. Might see if I can find some carpet kits for it, just to fix up in there, or have something covering it. The driver's side carpet is definitely worn out, but it's nothing crazy yet. I mean, it's totally serviceable. I also want to figure out why my little interior lights aren't working. That one worked for a little bit and then stopped. This one hasn't worked at all. It could be a bulb, it could be wiring. So yeah, time to jump back in and start doing the interior. I'm gonna have to undo the latches, I think, in order for me to have the space to work around in here, which sucks because it's gonna be so hard to put back on, but gotta do what you gotta do. All right, the interior is back together now, looking pretty decent. Obviously, besides the gross looking seats and the tears and stuff, but I mean, it's pretty much there. I am gonna get the seatbelts re-webbed for sure, because that's supposed to be black. The sun has turned that to a pretty gross brown, which means they are weakened from UV. Same here. That looks like it's white/gray almost. If you pull it out from where the sun hasn't been hitting it, there's a pretty stark difference there between faded and not faded. So I'll send those out to get re-webbed. Soft top's in, and I think it's stretched out on its own, actually just in the garage. So it's a little easier to latch now. I also loosened the latches just a tick, just to make it a bit easier. But while I was messing around with the suspension back here, I realized it can actually go lower in the back. It's not fully bottomed yet, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Lower it all the way down and call it good. Maybe after that, we'll polish up the paint just a little bit more, just to really put the old spit and shine on a turd, you know? All right, I think she is officially ready for the Gap. Everything's mounted up. Might need to roll the fenders a little bit more, but I went ahead and hit the hard edge with a hammer, took it over some harsh curves, some pretty hard turns, didn't rub a ton. I got a little bit of scrub in the front, I think passenger side, but those aftermarket fenders are super flimsy and not all the way bolted on, so I'm sure that's part of it right there. So I'll finish bolting those in, maybe somehow, maybe just tie some straps to it just to keep it held in, but roll a bit more. Pretty happy with the fitment overall. Those 1-inch spacers ended up being almost ideal. I dropped the back a bit more. I think the sill is a little lower in the rear than the front now, so it must just be the way the wheel well openings work to make it appear lower in the front than it is on the rear. But I had a little more room for adjustment, so I dropped it down that last little bit. I buffed the red paint a little bit on the door and the hood and the top edge of the trunk, just to make it look a little bit nicer. Other than that, I think that's about it. Top's looking really good. Now that it's stretched out a bit, it's super easy to close. I was able to close it while I was driving, no problem. Radio works. Everything feels good. Got the alignment fixed. It had a 1/2 inch of toe out. Now it's looking like a little bit under an 1/8 toe in. I might try to zero it out a bit more later, but for now, I think she is good to go. So I guess all there is to do is finish packing up and start heading out on Thursday. Oh, hello. What are you doing? As always, thanks for watching. Hope to see you guys next time. See ya.